Hello, we are ready for the next video, and in this video we are going to learn how to put together a simple budget and what to put in that budget so you can manage your company from a financial standpoint, knowing the numbers. And one other fun fact that I like to say, about me is, see a little football up there, right up there, right up there. I'm a big Steelers fan, so that's why the football's in our picture. So that's another fun fact about me. Okay, so we need to be able to manage the numbers. We need to put together a simple budget. Now, I don't know if you're like many people. Many people just do not like spreadsheets. They just don't like to deal with it. They don't like to deal with numbers. They're not good at math. All those things, right? So those you can't use those as excuses anymore, because you don't have that choice. If you're a solo entrepreneur and you're the only person running it, you have to know the numbers. You're the only person, so you have to know them. So you have to learn them. And you know what? It's not hard to learn. You can go to Udemy and take a class on how to use Excel to create a budget. You can look at how to budget. There's hundreds of classes out there if you really want to learn it. But I'm going to teach you some things today that is plenty for you to do, just so you can create a simple budget and use that budget effectively. Okay? So first and foremost, don't be scared of math. It's just simple stuff. With the spreadsheets today, they do all the math calculations for it. So you really don't need to know the math per se. You just need to be able to read what the numbers mean to you. I talk to so many people that just like, oh, I hate doing spreadsheets. I hate creating budgets, or like, I don't even know how to create a budget. Well, you don't have that choice. So here's the things you need to know. There's 3 things you really need to know in your business. One is, how much cash do you have in the bank? Super important, right? Simple. How much cash do you have in the bank? Second, how much do you owe over the next 7 or 14 or 30 days? Like ahead in the next at least in the next month, what do I owe, right? All the debts you owe, like manage that. Okay, and third, when you sell something, whatever your product or service is, are you making money on each sell? Like, is it profitable each time you sell a widget? Right, whether it's product or service. So if you know those 3 things, you probably got it figured out, right? I mean, that's the basics of what you need to know in accounting. Those 3 things, no more. That's it, right? Now there's some more details that we should know, but that is the basics, right? So learn those things and know those things. If you're the CEO and you have other people around you, and you have a CFO or a part-time CFO or a part-time bookkeeper or whatever, you still need to know what the numbers mean. You may not be doing the calculations, you may not be inputting the data, but you still need to know what the numbers mean, and you still need to know this data as the CEO. I don't care whether you're doing the work or not. You have to know it. Okay, so let me talk about the 3 pieces of the cash flow that matter, right? Because the first rule is how much cash is in the bank, right? So here's 3 things you need to understand about the business. One is revenue. Revenue is just the sales of your product or service. I'm not looking at cost, not looking at anything else. Just how much revenue you're getting each time you sell to a customer. And what you need to understand is, so if the lifetime value of a customer, right, is say $1,000, then when you get a customer over the next 6 or 3 or year or whatever the term is, you're going to get $1,000. And that is an important number to know, okay? So I'm going to go into why that's important here in a second. But you need to know the lifetime value of a customer, right? And you'll hear people talk customer value, customer lifetime value, but it boils down to knowing the value of each customer that you bring into your company. The second thing is product cost. How much does it cost to deliver your product, service your product, whether it's a hard product or service, right, or just a piece of software? All those things have some product cost associated with them. So you need to understand those so you can manage, like, you know what your pricing structure is, so you know that you're making money each time you sell a product, right, product or service, right? So it's important to know what it is in your product cost. What is deliver, and that includes shipping a product if it's hard, delivering the product if it's just software. I mean, all those things are product costs, right? And last is cost to acquire a customer. You got to find a customer. You need customers, so you have a cost to acquire a customer. And I'll talk about CAC, cost to acquire a customer. You'll hear that a lot, especially when you're talking to angel investors. They'll say, what is your? They may even say CAC, CAC. But they'll say, what's it cost to acquire a customer? And you may not know that yet, but you will know that at some point in time because you know that it's critical to your success. But here's why it's important. So let's just say that the value you get from a customer is $1,000, right? And whether it's 3 months or 6 months, I don't really care, but let's just say this value is $1,000. And let's say the product, to deliver your product and service your product, say it costs $300. Okay, so now you have $1,000 from a customer, you've got $300 in product costs, you now have $700 left. Well, you need to know what you have left so you can understand what you can use to acquire a customer. Because most of the time, especially early stages like most of us are in this course, you don't know what it's going to cost to acquire customers. So you're learning all this stuff and you're just testing as you go, right? So here's the thing. You've got to understand what your cost to acquire a customer is. So you've got to understand what you can actually spend and still be in business. So in our example, you have basically, you could say you have $700, but that's assuming you have no other cost. You have no other operating cost, which is completely wrong because there are operating costs. Some of you may have rent. Some of you may have, bookkeeping services. There's other costs associated with your business. But here, I'm just going through the basics because these are the most important things. So let's just use as a general rule, when whatever the value of your customer is, you can spend 30% of that. That is a general rule. It's not perfect for every company and every industry, but it's a fairly general rule. Okay, so in our example, that means we can spend $300 to acquire a customer. That means when we sell the customer, we are going to have gross profit of $400, right? $1,000 from the value. We get the cost is $300 to deliver and $300 to acquire. Therefore, we have $400 left over. So that's our gross profit. And then we obviously, again, we back out of that profit is, of course, our operating costs, etc. So that is the basics of a budget. I've just explained the whole thing. If you understand that, you're going to be fine. Okay, so whether you use Google Sheets or Excel or some other program, it doesn't necessarily matter. They all basically work the same. I'm gonna show you how to just create a budget. Like we're just gonna walk through to create a budget. So get a spreadsheet of choice. On your left-hand column, you're gonna put in categories, and those categories are what you're going to spend money on, right? So those are, of course, rent, software, insurance, maybe parking, website costs, contractors to do things, maybe some design costs. All those are costs that you're spending, right? And if you don't know what you're spending, just look in your bank records the last, say, 2 to 3 months, and you'll see, okay, I spent this much on this much on that. So you can start to categorize what you're spending money on, right? And put those in separate categories so you can manage each category, right? So we've done that. We put the categories on the left, right? Don't make this complicated. It's not complicated at all. Just keep it simple. Keep it very simple. So we got our categories in place now. Now we've taken it from our bank statement and we've seen, okay, this is what we spent. Great. Okay. So now we can start to categorize things and we can say, okay, our operating costs are X. And let's just say our operating costs are $3,000 every month that would cost to operate the business, to keep it alive, keep the lights on, as I like to say, right? So we have that because we've looked at the last 3 months of data and on average we've spent $3,000 each month. Okay, so that's what we call our burn rate. You'll hear burn rate from time to time. So whether that's $3,000 or $30,000 or $300,000, that's what it costs to keep the company moving forward. So when you're creating a budget, all we're doing is forecasting what we just did. So we take those 3 months and we forecast those for, say, for the next 12 months. It's just an average. It doesn't have to be perfect, but based on what we've done the last 3 months, we can probably predict closely what we're going to spend the next 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. And then we can probably plug in spots in that future of, well, we're probably going to need to hire a person around this point, right? So we put some salary or money in there. We're probably going to have to hire a designer for this project. And that's going to be 3 months from now. So we put some designer money in there, right? So that's how we build a budget. It's very simple. And then we go back to the revenue side, which is the top of it, right? Because we put the category in, right? We have revenue at the top, and then we start to line all these costs, right? So the revenue, we take what that estimate we did back several videos ago is what we believe we can sell in the next 12 months. And we put it in a month to month, right? It's not going to be all exactly the same because we're going to grow. It's going to be small and it's going to get bigger. So we want to start with, a small number, and that number is going to get larger. So that's what we're creating on the revenue, which is what they hear, the top line, right? The top line revenue. You'll hear that, right? So that's what we put in that spreadsheet. It's just top line revenue. It's what we calculated a few videos ago. We have created a budget. That's all there is to it, guys. There is nothing else to do. And all we do is total the revenue, we total the expenses, right? All the categories, right? And we subtract expenses from revenue. That's all we do. And probably, most likely, at this stage for most of you, that's probably going to be a negative at the end of the month. You're probably going to be losing money, right? So you have to be able to see, okay, over the next 12 months, it looks like I'm going to lose $60,000 or whatever the number is. So you need to be able to fund that $60,000 in some way, shape, or form. That's how you create a simple budget. No more, no less. Don't make it complex, but that's it. The keys are two things. One, learn how to use a spreadsheet. Don't be afraid of it, whether it's Excel or Google Sheets. There's lots of places you can learn the details of really how to use those things, but really it's just inputting data into a column. And second thing is know the three things. Know your revenue, which is your lifetime value from each customer. Know your product cost, and know your cost to acquire a customer. Those things are important. And the assignment today is what you're probably going to guess. Create a 12-month budget. That's your assignment. Again, don't be afraid of it. Be it straightforward. Just do a simple budget for the next 12 months for your business. So that's it. So that's it for this video. We'll see you in a couple seconds.